Hi, and welcome to That's So Nova. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. Today we're going to be doing March 1st bag of the month for March 1st bag of the month for 2026. Why was I saying February? I don't know. We're going to be doing Sewing Patterns by Mrs. H, the Etol Convertible. This bag is super interesting and very fun. I was in the testing group for this bag, and I have seen this bag made in every sorts of material, from faux fur, from corduroy, to cotton woven, to canvas, to, man, so many different. Today we're going to be making mines in cork and in waterproof canvas, but there's also been faux leather. I think someone made it in leather. So this bag is truly unique that it can be made in so many different materials. I love the functionality of this bag. It could be worn as a shoulder bag, and or someone wore it as a sling, which I absolutely loved. And you can unzip it and it could be made into a backpack. This bag has so many cool functions. You're going to love it. So in the beginning, there are going to be pages from 2 to part of 4 that is going to be cut charts and preparation. Now, before we get started on here, I want to tell you, when you watch this video, I'm going to be doing mine in cork, but this cork has like a thicker backing, so I didn't use a fusible fleece. My vinyl bag that I made, if you're on social media and you are in the Facebook group, it was thinner, and I had to use the fleece. Utilize the strike team, the testing team, and ask them questions if they use the fleece, if they use the Decaville, if they use stabilizer at all, or if they used everything that was suggested in the pattern. That is what a testing team does. They sometimes use it, or they omit it because they think it was too much for the bag, or if it would compromise it, or it will strengthen it. But I'm going to let you be the judge. You are probably well versed in whether or not you think stabilizer will work for your bag or will work against it. But this particular cork that I have has a strong fleece backing. Like, it is thicker than normal cork. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to push my luck. So we're going to mosey on over to page 4, and we're going to start creating the zip pocket. So for the zip pocket, you're going to need a couple pieces. You're going to need your zip. You're going to need pattern pieces D2, D3, and you're going to need your pattern piece D1, and you're going to need your zipper facing. Your zipper facing and your lining middle panel piece C. You're going to measure 6.5 inches up, and you're going to place your D1 zipper facing on there. Before you put your zipper facing on there, you're going to want to make the box. The box is going to be 1/2 inch on each long edges. You're going to draw a line, and you're going to draw another line on the other long side, 1/2 inch. From the short side, you're going to measure in 1 inch each. Once you do that, you're going to, again, measure up 6.5 inches, and you could pin, you can put double-sided tape, whatever suits your fancy. If you're a magnetic person, put a couple of magnets or clips, and then you're going to do your box. Once you do your box, you're going to remove whatever tools you were using to hold your zipper facing into place, and we're going to snip into this. It's always kind of hard, I feel like, to get a really nice zipper box with waterproof canvas versus cotton, but it's achievable. Sometimes you can use the iron, but you have to iron on the good side of waterproof canvas. If you iron on the plastic side, you'll be full of regrets, especially your iron. I'm going to be using double-sided tape on the edges to make it nice and taut. I'll show you. I'm using 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to put it right on the edge because I'm not going to be sewing on that part. And if you're using cotton, you can just, I'm going to show you how I usually do it. If I'm using cotton, what I usually do is I press it towards the box, use my iron, and then I will press the short sides because it helps shrink the threads. And then I would bring it to the back. And I would start pressing like this. But because I have waterproof canvas, I will just remove one piece of the double-sided tape. And give it a nice finger press. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm just going to use my seam roller. If you have a poly roller, metal roller, whatever you have on hand. This is an old, very squeaky roller. And then I'll roll it on the front just to give it a nice little press too. And I would press it both sides on cotton. We have our opening. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do our zipper. Sorry. One moment. Let's see. We're going to, my zipper's a little too long. We're going to baste this on using 1/8 of an inch. Or 1/4. That's really your discretion. Okay. And we're going to do that on the other one. So when we're trying to put the wrong side of the zipper tape to the right side of your fabric, and I don't have my zipper pull on this. If you're using a size 3 zipper tape, like a ready-made zipper, you can just move your zipper out of the way like it shows on the bottom figures on page 5. If you're using a size 5 or size 3 zipper by the yards, remember when you're cutting out your zipper tape to cut extra, because the measurements on the pattern are for ready-made zippers. All right. Get my rogue threads. All right, so we want these flat. So what I'm going to do is top stitch this down onto itself using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I will like to hold my tails, but I don't think I did. Just think of it like a basting stitch. It's not a permanent. You don't have to back stitch. It's just making this lay flat, so when we do our zipper, install our zipper, everything will be nice and smooth. All right. So what I'm going to do now is use double-sided basting tape. And get these rogue threads. And I'm going to put my zipper on. You can put your zipper on to the left or to the right, however you see fit. The one thing I want you to be cognizant of is that when we install the zipper, the longer piece of the fabric is going to be on the top. You want the shorter piece to be on the bottom. So I need to put the zipper on and then take it off again, because I did not pay attention. So when this goes on, you want the shorter piece on the bottom so this can line up like this. So shorter piece facing you. If you're doing and you want your zipper to go to the left, like I'm doing. All right. And you want the zipper teeth to go in the middle as best as you can. And just press it. Now we're going to sew all the way around here. I encourage people to make zipper stops. I'm going to backstitch. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to backstitch over the zipper tape where the teeth are, just to create some kind of zipper stops, because this is going to become a birthing hole and I want this to not pop any stitches when I'm birthing it. That's just me. I'm really rough when I'm birthing a bag. I'm not very gentle, and I don't use any methods like using you know, a hot tool to, like a blow dryer, to make the fabric more pliable or anything. If you're a really gentle person, then do what makes it easier for you. I'm just a little rougher. Just going to move this slightly out of the way. I'm just making sure everything sits nice and pretty. And I put my needle down when I'm ready to pivot, and then I push it all the way down until the needle wants to come up, and that's when I pivot, just to make sure there's not like a weird skip stitch. Cut those rogue threads. And see, it meets nice and easy. I love that. Then we're going to pull these, and we're going to sew down the sides but not close off the bottom, because like I said, we're going to create, this is going to be where we're going to birth the bag. And backstitch really well at the end. And I'm just going to leave this open so that way I'm not like, did I leave it open in the beginning? That's when we get towards the end of this. Okay. Get those rogue threads. All right. So we have that. We're just going to kind of clip this out of the way because we're going to put a slip pocket on here, and you just don't want to accidentally sew the slip pocket onto the back of the zipper pocket, because I have done that and it's not fun to unpick all that. So we're going to grab pattern pieces B, and we're going to place the two lining pieces on the top together and top stitch. I mean, not top stitch. Put them together. Back stitch in the beginning and the end on the top. This is going to be like a little slip pocket. And then we're going to top stitch this right here. Okay. And this goes right here, and you can turn this into two pockets as well. So if you want to do that, you just crease down the center. And that's, start basting this in place. Sorry. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go up the center. And I'm just going to, when I get to the top, I'm going to turn and just do a couple stitches across and back. And I'm going to go back down the stitches kind of like where I went to, so it gives it, the stitching looks a little bit thicker, so the line is definitely more pronounced, and you can definitely tell that that's a center divider pocket. But also it tacks down the seam where you don't need a rivet, and it can experience more wear and tear, and it'll last a little longer. It's like a little tack. All right, so we're done with this side. This is cool. All right, so we're going to grab, so we're going to be grabbing our zipper tape. Now on the pattern on page 8, it does tell us to grab our 10-inch zipper tape, but again, I cannot stress this enough. Look at the zipper. Things are made for ready-made, so you might need to add an inch or two if you're doing zipper by the yard. Zipper by the yard, sometimes you have to add like an inch and like 1/4 of an inch. It's very weird because they have like a zipper stop and whatnot, but I think this one might actually be 10 inches because I think this is zipper by the yard in this picture. Don't quote me on it, but I think so. All right, so I got my zipper by the yard, and we're gonna get pocket pieces B, pattern piece B, pocket piece B, and we have 2 pieces, and we are going to be using double-sided tape or double-sided basting tape, and you need to mark your centers. I always do that. It makes the tape, I put little center marks on my zipper tape as well, and we're going to do right sides together on one side. And this is going to feel really familiar because you're going to be doing it a couple times. You do it once, you're going to be doing it again on the exterior pieces, but these pockets are so charming. I love them so much. And then we're going to put it on the other side. Okay, we're going to sew this at all throughout layers at 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Cut off rogue threads. And going to finger press this. And typically when I have, not vinyl, but waterproof canvas, I just have to finger press it. The heat of my hands usually helps. But you also can, like, again, take a warm iron and, you know, iron it on from the right side. Do not do it on the plastic side. I repeat. So we're going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to top stitch this. Let's see. All right, we have beautiful top stitching. And you can definitely use contrast thread. That could be like another main character inside your bag. I love a good contrast thread moment. It can just give it a little oomph to the bag. Like, it draws a lot of attention and people are always amazed by it. Like, they're like, you did this? And you're like, yeah, I did this. We're going to do the same thing with pattern piece A on the top, okay? Okay, make sure the zipper tape is as nice and straight as possible. If it looks a little wavy, that's the beauty of double-sided tape. You can take it off and redo it again. Take off the double-sided tape on this side. We're going to do the same thing. And if you don't want to use double-sided tape, do it with clips. Do it, like, again, I keep saying, do what makes you comfortable. There's no rhyme or reason not to do what makes you happy, you know? The one thing about all of us creative types is that we do what makes us happy. Like I'm still like, I like to pin things, as you've seen what I did the zipper box. I like to, I still use pins. So we're going to, again, we're going to sew this down with the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right. So what we're going to do a little bit different here, we are going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to make sure these layers are matching. We're going to top stitch here at 1/8 of an inch. If you decide to actually hold your tails, because I'm notorious for not to do that sometimes. If you're like me, it's okay. No one's judging you. Just, you know, it happens. You're thinking that your machine doesn't need it, and you're like, well, it does. You're not alone. There's a group. We're gonna be called the Rogue Tails or something. Let's see. All right. And this is where this part gets a little bit different, and it's super fun. We are going to, you can see kind of where the shape is a little bit different on this piece. We're going to fold this over to meet the bottom pattern piece. So just meet it, and it gives this beautiful shape. Once you find the fold, you will have all these layers, and you're just going to top stitch the top here. Now you're going to have like this really cool slip pocket. And it's easy. There's no really trying to fold things in math-wise here. You're just meeting all 4 layers on the bottom. The beauty of this is how simplistic it is, and not like you trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. All the pattern pieces kind of just fit together because you just bring it down to meet. Then you're going to put your zipper on either to the left or right, however you see fit. Well, that didn't go on how I wanted it to. There we go. And trim any excess zipper tape. And you have your pocket. So then you're going to grab your other middle pocket, middle piece, and then you're going to baste this in place. And see how that's like a nice fancy slip pocket? We're going to clip this. We're just going to baste this in place. Isn't that so sleek? I love that. I love the way that looks. You have a nice slip pocket, you have a zipper pocket, and it just looks so sleek, so professional. So we have that, and now we're going to do the fun part. We're going to be putting this, we're going to put the lining pieces together. So we have pieces that go up and down, and we're just going to do this at 3/8 of an inch. Just going to put some clips on. I have rogue threads. I got that rogue thread. We're clipping this. So we're going to sew this up at 3, that thread just doesn't want to stop, 3/8 of an inch. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. We're grabbing the other middle panel, just clipping. Moving the pocket out of the way so it doesn't accidentally get sewn over. It's very easy to do. Mix up the pocket. And this is the last side piece. And you're putting these right sides together. That's not the right side. So the top is the shorter end. And the wider portion goes towards the bottom. And I'm going to sew from this side, so again I can move the zipper pocket so that the area that we're going to birth from out of the way, so that way it does not accidentally get sewn closed. And you can clip it so that out of the way if you wish to. That's another option too. All right. And then you take this one and you're going to make a full circle. All right, 3/8 of an inch. All right, so one of our last steps before we go on to the exterior, and you're going to notice the exterior has very similar things as the interior, and it's going to be feeling comfortable, is that you want to do 1/4 of an inch snips. I hate when something snips and it doesn't make a sound because you're like double checking all the way around. So that way it can ease into the circle. It makes sounds on the lighter one, but the thicker one's like, nah, no sound. Sometimes when I'm snipping like this, I'll pretend I'm a hairdresser and I'm trimming ends or something. That's like a weird goal, but that's what I'm doing. And once you're done doing the little snips all the way around, you're just going to place it to the side for just the moment. And then we're going to start working on our exterior. See, I love the fact that we did the interior first, though. See how it's like eerily quiet? Sounds weird, right? All right, so I'm going to go gather our exterior and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to do the exterior pockets. The exterior pockets are exactly the same as the interior. The pieces are just a little different. They're a little taller. So we're going to get pattern piece G, and we're going to put double-sided tape. And we're going to get our zipper tape. And we're going to put them, this is my exterior piece, and this is what I was talking about. See, this cork has like a very thick, fuzzy backing, so I was like, yeah, there's going to be no interfacing for this. I always find my center, and that way I can align my zipper tape and just make sure everything is as neat as it possibly can be. All right, we're going to do the same thing. Put this in the trash. And just like we did with the interior one, we're going to sew it together at 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to trim those rogue threads. Knowing your machine and what thickness it can handle is key to this any project, but knowing it could help you with your bag making journey. If you are familiar with fabrics like this one, for domestic, I would definitely leave it out, but I would also leave it out for industrial machines, because I'm a firm believer, just because you can sew over bulk doesn't mean you should. I feel like the reason why I paired it with waterproof canvas, because I wanted to leave out as much interfacing as possible, and I'm hoping this pans out where it can hold its weight and structure a little bit, but kind of be very flexible, and I can stuff as much stuff I possibly can in here without it, you know, collapsing or whatnot. I want it to be soft but have a little structure. So then we're going to do the top part. Now, on your pattern piece, this darker waterproof canvas that you see here versus the camel, this darker one is supposed to be the exterior. I decided to do waterproof canvas because it was significantly thinner than the cork. And I wanted a contrasting, you know, another accent piece. So don't be afraid to mix and match, especially if you're like, hey, my material is a little bit on the thicker side. Let me just do a thinner accent piece for the backing of this. All right. And we're going to sew this up. One-eighth of an inch top stitching. Okay. Then bring the top to align to the bottom. And if you want, you can add a few clips just so it could stay there. And voila, we have a nice ledge. And we're going to top stitch the top of the ledge at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, we're going to put our zipper on there. I always put mine to the left, but you can do one to the left and one to the right. It really doesn't matter. Some people prefer it just one area to one zip in one location, but I notice when I sew my bags, a lot of people like to have the zippers going different ways because they like it for security features to go in opposite directions, and they just like it in general. So then you're going to get your main pattern piece and you're going to put this on just like we did with the lining pieces. Now I'm going to give you a tip that's not in the pattern, okay? Don't be afraid. This is a tip if you want to reduce bulk in the bottom of the bag. You can do this if you want. You can reduce bulk by moving up the exterior top piece, and you can reduce the lining pieces. If you want a shorter pocket, you can reduce one like a 1/2 inch or an inch, and you can close up the slip pocket in the back to be a little bit shorter. And you can also have this pocket a little bit shorter. This pocket is the zipper pocket here, and you can just sew this separately, not onto the bag. You can sew this separately, like an inch. And this slip pocket, you would need to stitch it onto the bag, like you just stitch it or whatever. And by doing that and you cutting away any excess, you can have a little bit less bulk when we're going to be basing sewing this to the base. That's just something you could do. You don't have to, but if that is a concern of yours, you can alleviate that. So we're going to base this on. And then you would do this again for the other side. All right, and then we're just gonna trim any excess. All right, and then we're going to do similar to what we did on the other for the interior. We're going to line all these pieces together using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, on the top, open up the side seam, and I'm going to stitch 1/8 inch just to open. You could put double-sided tape, but I have a tendency of just doing a little stitch to open it up. And see how we have both pockets. Okay, and I'm going to stitch this seam open as well. I'm just opening it up flat. I'm putting it against my machine and just doing like a couple stitches to have it open, and then any part that is, I'm seeing the backing, I'm snipping that off so we can get prepared for this next part, because we're going to be installing the zipper. All right, so adding the main zipper closure. Okay, so we have this beautiful bag. We have our zipper tape. I am going to be taking the zipper tape, and I'm going to just mark our centers. And I did have my silver marking pen, but it just like disappeared. That's what usually happens to me. But I always have a spare. Okay. Like if my zipper's not perfectly met, it will drive me bonkers. Finding my centers, and then I'm going to find my center here. Sorry, my puppy's like playing football upstairs. Ever since I got on this one particular ball, like he is just crazy for it. All right, and then I'm going to find my center on this side. All right. So we're going to, she uses pins. She uses pins. I'm going to use clips, a lot of them, and they're very strong little clips because I'm using cork. So you could probably use double-sided tape. That will be my next one if the clips don't work out, but I think the clips will. All right. I'm going to find my center on both the zipper and here, and I'm going to start clipping the zipper tape to the bag. Now you want to stop where the red pin is shown at, and that is at the top of the middle panel. You don't want to go past the middle. You don't want to be on the middle panel. So the red pin marks the start and stop point. You only want to sew on the middle panel. You don't want to go onto the end panels. So these are the end. So you only want to start and stop on the middle panels. So once you are past the middle panel, you want to stop. All right. So this is when we are going to get our lining. We're going to grab our lining and we're going to put our linings we want the right side touching it. So we're just going to stick it in there. Row thread, and you're gonna start removing the clips or pins, and just kind of marrying the two. Just repinning or reclipping, however you see it. All right, so we're gonna then use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and sew this. And remember, you're not, if you start on the end, you went too far. Only on the middle panel. And if you need to use like an awl or a stiletto, just so you can hold the bag, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to put that up here so it won't fall. Okay. And remember, when you get towards the end, you're not trying to sew on the end panels, only stay on the middle panel. All right. Now, what you're going to do after you do that is you want to back stitch at the beginning and end. Then you want to turn your lining sides. You want to turn your lining sides right sides out. This is the reason why everything is, you want to keep everything super fluid. That's why there's not a whole lot of interfacing in here, because we're going to top stitch. Stick this bag back in. And again, you only want to top stitch in the middle panel. So I'm just going to tuck this in and top stitch this, back stitching at the beginning and end from here to here, and just make sure that there's no tuckers. That's another reason why I basted down the sides, so that way nothing can be in its way. See? Let's see. I had like one rope thread that was like tugging everything down. I'm telling you, trim those threads. Ooh, let's see. One side down, and now we have to turn it back out after we trim threads. And I think I need to So we're going to now just pin the other side. And we have it together just to make sure that we have the zipper tape all aligned. If you want to, you could definitely baste it in place. I'm just going to pin it, and then I'm going to take apart the zipper. I know everyone hates doing that part, but it's something that with time and practice, and you get better. Practice makes progression, and we can't allow fear to rule us, you know? And I'm just going to unzip it here so that way we can put the lining how it's supposed to be. The reason why I'm not basting it by machine is if you follow the pattern, we're going to be trimming down the seam allowances in here, but not the zipper tape, right? And I want to be able to trim the seam allowances not only in the lining part, but the exterior part. So that way I can get the best curve for this concave as I possibly can. So I'm going to use my clips. We're going to do this all over again. Okay, 3/8 of an inch. Only up until you can to the middle panel. Don't go past that. Like once it's starting to get closer, too close to the end panels, you know, stop. You don't want to sew on that. And let's see, turning this exterior sides out. I'm going to top stitch. You're going to be definitely getting a nice hand workout today. It's so worth it though. I love the end results of this bag. Okay, we're going to top stitch. And I'm just going to make sure that when I'm top stitching, I'm going to try to pull this lining as best as I can. So I'm trying to look underneath the presser foot. making sure there's no pleat or it's not trying to creep up and do a fold, because that happens to me a lot sometimes. All right. All right. So we're going to then turn it back out. And we're going to like trim the area, the seam allowances in here, but we're not trimming the zipper tape. I repeat, we're not trimming the zipper tape, and we're not trimming the part that didn't get sewn onto the zipper either. I know this part could be a little long, and it could take a little bit, but it'll be worth it, okay? It'll help with this slope to sit a little bit nicer. And you can take off rope threads. And I'm going to do all this and I'll be right back. So after you install your zipper, I did something in reverse. Okay, so hopefully you're watching this before you do the zipper part. If not, I'm going to put a disclaimer before the zipper part. So what you were supposed to do is sew the 3/8 of the inch and then trim the lining and the exterior and then top stitch. I did it the opposite. Sometimes my dyslexia gets the best of me. I apologize for that. If you did it my way, it still kind of works out because you're trimming the excess and you're relieving the bulk. Either way, you're going to get a better concave and it's going to look good. So what happens next after step 13, after you do this, you're going to need to zip up this bag. You're going to need to zip it up, and then you're going to need to turn it right sides out, but you need to have the lining on one side and the exterior on the other side. Once you do that, it's going to need to be zipped up, and we're going to now be working on the next step. The next step is on page 14. We're going to be needing to create the tabs. So the tabs are pretty cool because I like the fact that the tabs are not only used for this really cool tool where we're going to be using like a O-ring, but it's also used for the connectors. So I like when we get something that is not just like a one-off. So it's pattern piece J, and we're going to be using it And we're going to, I think my scissors are super magnetic right now. And I don't know what I did to them. One minute I kind of like it. The next minute I'm like, I'm not here for it. So we're going to put the long edges and bump them right up to each other. This is the piece that has the stabilizer. Okay. Okay, let's get this, and we're going to fold over. First, I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch down each side. The long side, so that way the connector can stay together. Then we're going to put the connector over, and we're going to top stitch it at the connector so it can stay. I'm going to just kind of go over the previous row and top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. And what I like to do is I like to go back over the top part and do another line of stitching, because this is going to be an area where the straps are going to be at. So I want to make sure that it has like a reinforced stitch. You don't have to do that. It's not in the pattern, but it's just something that I do. And this is cork. And if you're using cotton woven too, you can definitely do it. And you could just do it right underneath, and it just gives it another layer of security, to me at least. Singeing those threads. All right. So we have our connector, our O-ring. So we have zipped up our bag, and like I said, we have our lining on one side and our exterior on another. What I did to make sure I know where my zipper end is, because we're going to be installing this, it needs to be at the where the zipper end is at. So this is the part where it's completely closed. So again, I told you guys earlier that I have dyslexia, and if someone ever gets confused or something, I drew a line when I installed the zipper, and you can see here there's an arrow. So this tells me that the bag closes this way, so I can for sure know that's where I need to put my this is where I need to put my this is the end of the zipper, so this is where I'm going to wear the back. You can look at it right here too. You can see that this is the top of the zipper where it closes out, and that this is where this part goes to. Just always like refer to the photos beginning, so that way it's just easier for your brain to process stuff. So you're going to fold everything onto itself. It just kind of closes, and you're going to want this to go into the exterior part, and that's why you had this wider opening, so that way it can, you know, accommodate this O-ring. And what you want to do is you want this as center as possible. And I guess this is also here so that way you can kind of base this in place first to make sure that it's centered and it's not going to be all wibbly wobbly when you're done with it. So base it onto the zipper teeth first, because it's the same. It's almost the same. It's like 1/8. It should be scant 1/8 of an inch shorter on each side, because the zipper tape is 1 1/4 of an inch, and this is 1/8 of 1 inch. And I'm here for the basting, because sometimes when I eyeball stuff, I will be completely off, and then I'm just really upset at myself that I just didn't take the time and just baste it on. So now I'm just going to fold these on to themselves. And as I'm folding it, I'm just going to clip it. Fold and clip. Fold and clip. And I'm just going to make sure it's exactly all lined up before I do that big stitch. Okay. And this may take you a little while. I know it takes me a while because if I don't think something's working out the first time, I will try to perfect it as best as I can. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is your bag and you want to make sure that it looks as neat as and clean as possibly can. Because if it doesn't look neat right now, the magic's not going to happen when you turn it. All right, so we're going to then go to page 15. And we're going to sew this, making sure all the matching sides are there. And we are going to sew this through nearly as flat. We're going to sew through all layers at a 1/2 inch. And there's a few layers here, so take your time. If you need to get a hump jumper, get it. And again, you're going to see me do something. It's not in the pattern. I'm going to go within that stitch seam and do a reinforced stitch because this is going to be an area that is going to be utilized for the backpack strap. So just a small stitch that's within the seam allowance. It's right next to it, nothing outrageous. And then that's it. And it's just trim the corners of the extra fabric, but not the zipper tape and not the tail. So we're just going to remove the excess fabric. Just the excess. All right. Then we're going to turn the bag right side out briefly. And we're going to hand stitch where the zipper tape is on the other side. Or if you're going to be like me, I might just take it over to the machine. But you also can see kind of this. Does it pop out nice and smooth? And mine's does. See how it just like kind of just pops? And if I get my little pointing tool in here, it will just be so nice. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And this side, I've already did a stitch on this side. It out so you guys can see. And let me have twisted in the inside too. You don't want nothing sharp going in there or it will be all bad. But you have time and you can do clips and all the tricks. So we're going to turn the bag right side out for now. And then we're going to turn the bag wrong side out once again. Like I said, hand workout. And again, you want it where the lining's one section and the exterior is another. And if you turn that side out and you think that there was still a lot of bulk, this is like the perfect time to like reduce bulk or do what you got to do to help make that transition even smoother, and go for it. So all right. Let's see. This is this one. All right, we're gonna top stitch 1/8 of an inch on the long sides. Okay. Let's see. And let's do the other side. Okay. We're going to put a rectangle on here. And we're going to stitch across. I'm just going to stitch across. I think I want to go up and across so that the tap's not open. Yeah. Yeah, I like that better. All right. All right. So if you're doing cotton, you can definitely do these really cool tabs. Not tabs, but ends. But I think you can do this with the ends of cork as well. It just depends on your machine. So let's give it a go. So we're going to put double-sided tape on both of these straps. All right. All right. So we're going to fold this on itself into a small space, and then her magic is that she folds this like this. And sews it at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Back stitch in the beginning and the end. And you're only doing this on one side of the straps. And then she snips little triangles off, not hitting the thread. Oops. And she folds this on itself. Let me see if I could just use my chopstick real quick. There we go. There. Oh, see? And it makes a nice little strap in so that you don't have to use additional hardware or edge paint to cover it up. So there you have it, guys. You can do it probably on vinyl, thinner vinyl, and you could definitely do it on cord. Now, if you're a taller or a shorter person, you can adjust these straps to your own height. There is a suggestion in here, and there are people that are, you know, make bags like day in and day out. And I always tell people to get their favorite backpack and try to make straps based off of that. You never know what someone's preferences. Everyone's preference is so different. So we're going to do the same thing, only on one end. We're going to fold. And then we'll fold pretty sides touching. Back stitch. And then we're going to pop that in. There we go. And we're going, oops, sorry. The ASMR is not giving on this one. You'll be like, Shanova, yeah. Let's see. All right, we have 2 straps prepped. Now let's get our zipper tape prepped. All right. We're going to grab this. I'm going to cinch. And we're going to fold this at a 45-degree angle. And I like to get 2 pins. And you just fold it down in a square. And then just fold it back. Tactics. You can sew it in place. Yeah. I'm trying to do fire, but you know, the machine, it's like, no, not today, no flame. Machine. I know I'm not sewing over an actual needle. Comments, you're sewing on the needle. No, no, nope, I promise you. When I tack it down, I wind up sewing really close to the 1/8 of an inch. It's right there. So we have our zipper. We're going to now begin with the edge that doesn't have the nice end caps. We're going to place our raw edge. So the raw edge that doesn't have the 45-degree angle on here. So I'm going to put a double-sided piece of tape here. And this should finish roughly about 15.5 inches. Yeah. And we're going to top stitch this down at 1/8 of an inch. All the way around. And then we're going to do it on the other side. It's just like a regular strap, just you have a pair of zipper teeth about 15 inches towards one side. Okay. Get a zipper pull. And then we're gonna get tri-gliders, feed it through one end. Grab a connector, feed it through, and then we're going to, I really need this to work. Come on. Okay, not too much. And then we're going to put it through, up and under. Trying to get it a little bit more slack. And I'm just going to put a clip right there because I'm going to rivet it in place. Because I'm using cork. You can use rivets for cloth too, so whatever's easier for you. Through here and then up and over. I never give myself enough slack. Like every single time. All right, and then I'm just going to grab a hole puncher real quick and just rivet that in place. You can stitch it too, and it will just be just as strong. Try to make sure all the layers are even. And I'm only going through the 2 layers that are connected to the tri-glide on the bottom bar. And then I'm getting some antique brass rivets real quick, and then getting that put in place. And this I was able to rivet this with an 8mm, so not too bad, not too big. One more to go. I need to get a better hole puncher because I promise you my hole puncher is not doing its job. Like it seems like it goes through like all layers except the last. All right, this is all set up. So now we're going to do the final steps for this part. We're almost there, guys. It's been a journey, but it's been well worth it. We're going to find the other part right here of this zipper. we're going to right sides of the zip feed this in. So we're going to be putting the way you want to look at this is we're going to be putting the right sides of the zipper facing the exterior end panel. So we want it to face this. So I'm going to go in and the way you're seeing it is this is the lining. The lining's right here. This is the main body of the bag. This is the zipper panel, and you want the zipper panel to be this zipper panel for the straps should be touching the right sides of the end panel. Okay, so they should be touching. This should be this is the lining part. So this zipper is the main exterior. They should not be seeing each other. This zipper, the zipper closure for the main body of the bag should be seeing the wrong side of the zipper of the straps. Okay, so I'm just going to get this all lined up and situated. Just want to get that clipped into place. All right. And with that, you want to sew this at a 1/2 inch too. Okay, I'm going to just sew over it one more time just to make sure I got everything. Okay, and then we're going to trim the corners. And we're going to just turn this right side out real quick. See how that pops out? So smooth. So that's so smooth too. Okay. So this is going to go through here. Sorry, my dogs whenever somebody comes by the house. So I have to do it one at a time. You can't. So this goes through here. Okay. I got to find my center. Draw my line. And then I have to make sure these straps are not twisted. And we're going to base these in place. Okay, guys. I'm telling you, we're going to put on the base next. All right, basted them on. All right, so we're going to turn this, we're going to turn this wrong side out, but before you do, make sure your lining pocket is open. Okay, now we're going to be putting the base on. On page 4, they had information about bag feet, popping those feet in if you want it. I'm not putting bag feet on because I thought I had some and I didn't. So yeah, there's that. So I'm going to do my measurements to make sure I can find my centers on every single one of these. So I'm going to be clipping and drawing my centers in place. This bag is so cool though, I'm not gonna even lie. I think it's just the coolest. You're like, Shinova, we're finding it's a circle. Why do you have to find your centers? Because it's like a pie. If you find all your areas that you need to find, then it can just go on a little bit smoother. And the same thing goes for here. Put this here. One sound sets the pups off. You just check them out on a windy day. It's just pure chaos. All right, so let's get this party started. See, Some fabric is going to go around this circle real easy and you don't have to spread out the bulk. Some is not. You're going to have to make some snips. Do that, the little 1/4 of an inch snips, and some it's going to be a little finagling you got to do. And either way, it's going to come out nice. The thing about a round bottom, I think it's kind of forgiving. My chair is like doing some awful like squeaking while I'm going back and forth getting clips. All right, let's get her done. 3/8 of an inch all the way around. Do this however you feel fit. If you want to squish the heck out of it, go for it. If you want to treat it like a delicate butterfly, you got to do what makes you feel happy. Go for it. If you have to use a hump jumper over some thicker seams, go for it. If you have to, like, you know, take a mallet and some cloth and smash down those thicker seams, do it. Whatever you do, I fully support you. Just know that. All right, one side down. One more to go, guys. We're almost there. Same thing. Just start clipping, and you know, if you find your 4 sections, it just makes your life a little bit easier. You don't have to necessarily do it that way. It makes sense in my brain that way. I don't know why. Just make sure you don't accidentally sew over your pockets. I'm like turning this over and I can see it getting twisted a little bit. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I get all the right measurements, and then we're going to birth this after we finish. Getting everything. All right. And if you want to, you can sew the bottom a little bit bigger if you want to make sure that you don't have like a saggy bottom. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a difference, but if you want to, you can. Like instead of a 3/8 of an inch, you can do like a 1/2 inch. Again, just make sure your zipper pocket is purely out of the way. All right. I'm debating on whether or not birthing this and then coming back and giving you everything, talking to you about the bag and all its glory, or birthing with you and you just see me struggle and all my glory. Because the struggle is going to be real, probably. Let's see. It missed a spot right here. Actually, that's super weird, but we won't tell anybody. As long as you guys don't tell anybody, then we're okay. All right. It has so many threads. Okay. All right. It's so funny because so many people, there's people that love binding, there's some people that like drop in linings, or people that love birthing. I don't know what I really like. I think I like them all, to be honest. I think every place has its like time for and reason for every single method. I think that you just have to kind of be open for the experience. Oops. Sorry, my little dish that holds all my hardware when I'm sewing is not feeling the love of getting banged around. So many things are trying to get birth. We're almost there, guys. You're having this in real time. I almost feel like if a bag is birthed, it can go through absolutely everything and anything. There we go. Right. That is so cute. Okay. Let's close up this pocket, show you the bag in all its glory, and let you know what's going on. So you can hand stitch this bag, pocket closed. I'm going to machine stitch it. Folding this over, and you can put like a little tag if you want. If you have like a name tag, you can put your name tag absolutely everywhere. This week is like the week of like myself just completely forgetting to put my name tags on everything. And the thing is I have a really good friend that gave me a sticker that has a friendly reminder to tell me to put my name tag on everything, and yet here I go. All right, so let me get in here. Yeah, the 1/2 inch worked really nice. Okay. So all right, the shape of this, I like to like bend the seams to the shape that it's supposed to be. Just give it a little time because it's been flipped inside and out like several times. So give it a little bit of TLC. All right. As you can see, you have a really beautiful bag. This bag is so cool. So you have a really cool front, and it has like a slip pocket and a zipper pocket. You can Sorry, that's the side rails that holds the camera up. You have a back pocket that has a zipper pocket. So this is great if you're wearing it as a backpack. You can have your cell phone and your wallet and your necessities on your back so you can fill it. You can also wear it as a, like a, you know, as a regular shoulder bag. And in our group, we have people that have worn it as a sling. You can open it up, unzip it, wear it as a backpack. When you open this part up, you have a zipper pocket, which is really cool. It's always nice to have two slip pockets, as well as a zipper and slip pocket duo. And it just has so much room in the inside of this. And I love the fact that you can just put so much in the compartment of this. This is a really unique bag. I can't quite picture or tell you what is something that's similar to this bag, but I really like the functionality of it. It just is so different. And it doesn't take a lot to get this bag together. And I think that people are really going to respond well to it. It's very, very cute. And I don't know, there's something very, very special about this bag. So I am so glad that I got to make this bag with you. If you have any questions in reference to it, please leave some comments down below. And I can't wait to be sewing with you again. Until the next time, have a good day.